Last time we followed Odysseus back to his kingdom, Ithaca. There he met with his son Telemachus and his loyal friend Eumaeus. Today we will cover books 17 to 24 of the Odyssey, finishing this series. Don't forget to comment down below what did you think of the series so far, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Okay, let's get started. Telemachus visits the palace of Ithaca and meets his mother. She embraces him and asks whether he was able to collect any news regarding his father. The young prince follows the plan and does not reveal that his father has reached the island already. Instead, he says that he is captured in Calypso's island and that they should make a sacrifice to appease the gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus. That is when Theoclymenos enters the scene. He is a prophet from Argos who was wanted for committing murder. The fugitive had sought refuge in Telemachus' boat and ended up in Ithaca. He revealed that he had seen Odysseus on the island, but Penelope did not believe him. It was almost nighttime when the suitors visited the palace to dine and drink wine. They used to eat and drink in the palace every night, along with Penelope's maids. The queen of Ithaca was feeling helpless and unable to bring order to the kingdom of Ithaca. The island was ruled by complete chaos. What the suitors did not know was that Odysseus dressed up as a beggar, and he was walking towards his kingdom along with his loyal friend Eumaeus. A man named Melanthius sees the man and taunts Odysseus for his appearance. And what follows is one of the most iconic parts of Homer's Odyssey. Odysseus' dog, Argos, was spotted laying nearby. Argos was only a puppy when the king of Ithaca traveled to Troy, but the dog, which was very old and neglected at the time, was able to recognize his master immediately and started wagging its tail. Argos was unable to run to Odysseus and, due to his excitement and old age, died at the scene. The friendship between a dog and a man was considered sacred since ancient times. Odysseus finally enters the palace and, pretending he's a beggar, starts asking for money from the thousands of suitors. Some of them throw bread at him. The king then starts narrating a story, how he used to be rich as well. Antinous, one of the suitors, hits him on the shoulder, and Odysseus, still disguised as a beggar, asks the gods to punish him. He doesn't attack yet. His journey has taught him a lot, and he has paid for his avarice in the past. Meanwhile, another beggar appears on the scene and asks Odysseus to fight. He didn't want another beggar taking away some of his potential earnings. The beggar gets intimidated by Odysseus' strong physique, and the suitors offer some meat to the winner. The suitors have one more drink for the night and they leave. The king and prince of Ithaca then start hiding the weapons in the palace. They will use them tomorrow to scare away and kill the suitors. Once they are done, Odysseus visits Penelope in her chamber. The faithful queen of Ithaca does not recognize her husband. She sees a beggar who was mistreated by her maids and the angry suitors and feels bad for him. She asks him to narrate his story, but the man explains his past is too painful to be brought up. Penelope, feeling very familiar towards the stranger, starts discussing her own problems, how powerless she feels and how she might have to end up marrying one of the suitors, although she detests all of them. Odysseus then starts narrating a story to Penelope, that he is originally from Crete and that he once hosted Odysseus during his homecoming trip. He manages to describe him accurately. He was the same person after all. The queen cries and promises to host the man in her palace. The man promises that Odysseus is alive and on his way back, but Penelope cannot believe this scenario. So many years have passed by. Following the rules of philoxenia, Penelope instructs Euryclea, her most loyal maid, to clean the host's feet. The maid recognizes Odysseus from a hunting wound on his thigh, and Odysseus warns her to not reveal his identity. Penelope then asks for Odysseus' advice. She dreamed of an eagle that preys on geese in her kingdom. The eagle talks to her and says he is Odysseus, and the geese are no other than the Suitors. Odysseus says he believes that the dream will come true, but Penelope is skeptical. She also reveals that she plans to choose her new husband tomorrow. She will marry whoever is able to shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads with Odysseus' bow. Her real disguised husband reminds her that Odysseus will come back, and Penelope runs towards her chamber in tears. Odysseus spends the night trying to convince himself to not attack the suitors while they sleep. Goddess Athena visits him and reassures him he will be able to fight against the suitors on his own. She promised to protect him with her divine powers. Meanwhile, Penelope prays to goddess Artemis to end her life. The next morning, Penelope gathers the suitors in the main hall and announces them that she will marry one of them. She explains that the new king of Ithaca will be the man who will be able to shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads with Odysseus' bow. The suitors fail one by one, and then beggar Odysseus asks to give it a try. The suitors laugh, but Penelope allows him to use the bow, promising that she will give him food and clothes if he succeeds. Telemachus, knowing what is about to follow, leads his mother inside the house, while Eumaeus makes sure that the doors are locked. Odysseus shoots the arrow, which manages to go through all 12 axe heads. At the same time, lightning strikes, a sign that Zeus is with Odysseus' side again. Once Odysseus shows his skills, he throws an arrow at Antinous, the vilest of the suitors. The rest of the men try to find their weapons, but Odysseus and Telemachus had made sure to hid them carefully. With Athena's help, Odysseus defeats the suitors one by one, and she makes sure that the maids that were disloyal to him get punished as well. Euryclea, the old maid, informs Penelope about Odysseus' return and the death of the suitors. Penelope cannot believe this scenario. She thinks that the gods punished the suitors for their avarice and that Odysseus is dead. But then Odysseus enters her room and reveals his true identity. Penelope is hesitant to believe him, but Odysseus talks about their bed, which he had carved himself from an olive tree that has its roots in the foundation of the house. This bed cannot be moved, just like the couple's faith and loyalty to each other. This secret that only he and she knew was enough to make Penelope believe that her husband was alive and standing in front of her. She embraces him and apologizes to him for her skepticism. There are now two things left to do: a sacrifice to god Poseidon and a visit to the vineyards of Laertes, Odysseus' old father. Odysseus meets his father, they embrace and make sure that Poseidon will favor him again by visiting the mainland, holding the winnowing oar, and making a sacrifice when he meets the first person who is unaware of the sea and the seamen. As for the suitors, they end up in Hades, and their loss divides the people of Ithaca. With Athena's intervention, peace is declared, and the Ithacans follow Odysseus, their true king, the one who is favored by the gods. So that was the end of the Odyssey. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to be informed on my next videos, and check the description for some useful links. You will also find a discount for my Greek language courses. Bye for now, and see you in the next one.